Welcome back to the GSTL. We had a crazy first game between Byun and Alicia. Alicia fell, and Coca is now out to replace him. And we're going to have an interview.
It's funny how that actually works. Tallest guy to the left, and then it's just
Yeah, it's like a
down to the right.
yeah, something like the ramp, I guess.
I like Jessica's hair here.
It
looks good on her.
It's really good.
긴장을 굉장히 많이 해요, 정말.
She does look a little bit bored though.
긴장을 해가지고.
Well, the coach is like, Björn is a really strong player, but he tends to be nervous in the GSTL, so that's why the coach put him first.
Okay, he puts him first so he doesn't want to, get nervous or feel like it's all the pressure is on him.
Yeah. I mean, the more advanced we are in the team match, the more pressure is on the players that step into the booth, so it makes sense to use them first.
네. 원래 두 선수가 좀 약간 안 좋은 일이 있었잖아요. 차라리 이 기회를 삼아서 정정당당하게 게임하는 모습들을 팬들에게 보여주고요. 박수발치를 받는 좋은 계기가 되었으면 하는 이유에서 최정화 선수를 내게 되었습니다.
There's a pretty strange history between Coca and Byun. And from today on, I want to show that we can show good matches together. And she wants to let everyone know they're very friendly with each other.
This is basically their chance to finally redeem themselves. Of course, it was a long time in the past, but still in Korea, it's not a bit of a deal. So them playing against each other here also sends out a signal. If they lose today, they're out of the GSTL, so they will do their best to win. And they practice very hard for today's matches.
네, 이제는 뭐 물러설 곳이 없기 때문에 오늘 최선을 다해서 저희 또 좋은 성적을 내야 되고요. 양 팀이 아마 멋진 경기를 보여주지 않을까 그런 생각이 드네요.
네, 제가 몇 가지 궁금증이 들었는데요.
Jessica is basically saying this is their last match, their last hope. If they lose, they're out. So she's basically echoing what Gerard said. And she's confident it's going to be a pretty exciting match today.
Oh, I am as well. I completely agree.
And Eve came, by the way. I'm sure you guys all noticed that earlier.
김상준 선수가 바로 슬레이어스 2지 팀이에요. 오늘 어떻게 막을 생각이신가요?
저희 팀 테란 조성주 선수나 이정훈 선수가 아직 남아 있는데요. 이정훈 선수가 특히 좀 강력한 자신감을 보이고 있어요. 김상준 선수 상대로.
They think that Slayer's puzzle is going to be today's ace player. And Maro and Marine King practiced apparently a lot against Protoss in order to prepare for this match.
다음 주 최종전에 푸나틱 레이드 콜이 기다리고 있습니다.
For him, it will basically be the decision if he wants to use Maru or Marine King against Puzzle later on.
And he's like, psych! And pulls Boom Boom out. And he's like, it was just an interview joke. Like, I don't want to reveal my strategies.
Well, Boom Boom kind of showed himself against Vampire in Korea already, so that's a bit of a problem. The last time when they played Fnatic, the coach thinks that they did not really show their best performance. And yeah, they weren't too nervous because they know that even when they lose the game, they have another chance today. But today it's a different story. They're pretty nervous about the matches and they really want to show their best.
그래서 오늘은 저희 행운이 좀 많았으면 좋겠어요.
네, 알겠습니다. 저도 끝까지 지켜볼게요.
Jessica's saying that luck is a very important factor today. I would say that in all team league matches, there's always an element of luck. For example, with their starting players, the players are chosen and revealed to each other after both teams made their first choice. And Slayers, if they knew that Byung was their opponent, would likely not put Alicia out first. But it's like, well, what do you do? There's a little bit of luck there. And even so, Alicia looked great. The engagement was poor for him. It's unfortunate. There's always a little bit of luck in every match.
I feel a little bit sorry for Alicia that he lost this, just because I think that his overall strategy, how he opened up the game, how he started with the Phoenixes in order to be prepared for a Marine tank composition, for example, and all that he did just made a lot of sense. It was very much thought out. I start with the Phoenixes. I can see what exactly he does. They help me to scout. At the same time, a Marine tank push will not be that strong because we saw so many Protoss players to fall to Marine tank composition that sieged up on the low ground against the natural. So he tries to skip things up a little bit. Then he shows this one Colossi, which helps him to defend against the first attack so well with the perfect timing. Does not even research extended thermal lands and switches it over in Templars. This whole thought process was really great. But Byun just proved to be the better player today. And
Byun's supply was always ahead of his opponent, and that wasn't because Alicia missed a lot of pylons. It was because he was making the switch. He went straight to Colossi, made the one Colossus, then he was trying to get Forge upgrades while getting the Twilight Council, then Templar Archives and Storm. So of course his unit production is going to suffer a little bit while trying to do that on 2 bases. And that really showed. I mean, the amount of units that Bjorn had was insane. Yeah, the tech was there, but the Storms weren't, and that's the problem.
If Bjorn, on the other hand, would have delayed his Ghost production a tiny little bit, as we see so many Terrans players do these days, then he might have been in a big trouble and later on, because those Templars would really have done some damage. But well, this time we don't have a Protoss player. We have a Zerg facing Bjorn now. He's up against Koka.
Man, well, you know, Koka's hair actually is... It's not like really unkempt, it's the curly style. And I actually used to have hair that looked exactly like that when I was, I guess probably like 14 or 15. So like, I don't know how old Koka is, but he reminds me of myself a little bit in the booth there. But I have to say that Bjorn looks
you were Asian?
Well, I hung out with only Koreans, I guess, in high school, like, for the most part. But Bjorn, people called me Asian jokingly. Bjorn, he looks much more handsome with his haircut, in my opinion. It suits him really, really well. Bjorn, I think, may be the most handsome pro gamer right now to me. I'm not sure, though.
If you actually collect a lot of karma points and when you die, someone asks you, like Buddha comes to you and asks you, okay, well, if you're going to be reborn now, do you want to be Asian, or what would you say?
Yeah, actually, yeah. I've already done the whole Caucasian thing.
Okay. I want to try something new.
Yeah, actually, yeah. That's exactly it. Bjorn looks very serious. You know, they both are. Like I said, there's a lot of history here. Even Jessica mentioned that before. The map choice is Metropolis.
And we saw in the past, we always talk a little bit about the statistics and about the results on these maps, and Metropolis is the map where Terran really suffers.
Yeah, definitely. So the worst win rate by far in the entire map pool, the most lopsided percentage. And for that reason, it's a great choice for Koka. Run-bys on this map are so difficult to stop. There's a lot of positions for Broodlords to be good. Ultralists do happen on this map every now and then, but they're not the go-to composition usually because there's a lot of choke points on this map. There's a lot of narrow areas. It's really easy to avoid avoid the Ultralists. But both may be seen. We see a lot of long games on this map, and Koka, he's not quite set up yet. He's going to have to switch his computers. There's some sort of problem. Obviously, we have 4 booths here, and one of the computers having some sort of problem, so he's just moving to another one. So, you know, I want to talk a little about this this Bjorn Koka situation because obviously some people really say, oh, they're talking about too much. I'm sure some people think, oh, they're overplaying. But in Korea, it was such a big issue.
I actually think that a lot of our viewers might have no idea what we're talking about because they have not been seen at that point in time.
Okay, well, there was a esports weekly match, or it may have even been an Icy Cup match at the time. I don't know what the name of it was.
I think it was esports weekly already.
Okay, or ESV, whatever the organization was. It was a Code A spot on the line, and one of the players already had Code A, so they forfeited the match and gave the Code A to the other player, which I believe at the time Bjorn had the spot and gave it to Koka. I may be mistaken, it's been so long. But regardless, they both agreed to this in chat, on stream, in front of everyone, and just one player said GG, I believe was Bjorn, just said GG and left the game, and the other player was awarded the spot. And so this caused a lot of stir because it was illegitimate the way he gave away the win. The Code A spot was given, but then it was revoked. Both teams actually decided their players would not play in the GSL after this rather than the players themselves, and GOMTV did not ban any of them. It was a team choice.
The GSL didn't take any actions, but the teams did, and for a long time we didn't see either Bjorn or Koka, neither in GSL or GSTL. So it was a big deal when they came back. They actually started with the GSTL to play in the team league, and both of them immediately, when they played, had an interview where they explained that they're really sorry for what happened and that they want to redeem themselves.
Do you remember Bjorn's first comeback when he played in GSTL for the first time since his appearance, where he looked so upset and so emotional in the interview? And it's such a big deal to these guys. Yeah, it's such a big deal here in this culture, which is so different from Western culture in many ways. It's very, very important that the apology was given. They're very sincere, and it's important to them that they stayed out of the GSL for a while. And now they're playing against each other again. And yeah, it doesn't really matter as far as this match goes, but it's always going to be in their mind. It's something that's really important for both of these players.
There's just a lot of history involved.
Yeah, so that's just really to me something that's really exciting about this match because they have this history of this so-called controversy behind them.
I mean, there's a lot of histories going on in the esports scene, especially in Korea. Well, we all know what would have happened yesterday if actually NST took the first spot in the Code S group. He would have had to face Naniwa, which would have been like this epic match just because what happened at the Blizzard Cup when the game did not really matter anymore.
And then the interview where Naniwa called NST an idiot comes to mind as well.
No, he didn't really call him an idiot.
Well,
he tried to say something else, and
there was a controversy behind this.
Yeah,
is basically what I'm saying.
It was out of context. People
Out of
took it out of context, and suddenly it made it sound worse than it actually was. NST and Naniwa get along quite well, but yeah, there was a lot of drama created around it, so it's still going on a little bit. So everyone is waiting for this rematch between the two of them in Korea, in the GSL.
It could potentially happen in the finals of this season. There's a chance, so look forward to that possibility.
Naniwa is preparing a lot for his match against DRG. That's the one player that he did not want to face. He said, I'm fine with the Terran, I would like to face NST again. DRG is the player that I don't really like to face. I'm currently actually helping him, getting him some training partners for his matches, some Zerg players, some really tough Zerg players, by the way.
Did you see Dongregu's interview yesterday where he said, no matter what Naniwa does, I can beat him? It's a very confident statement coming from him.
Yeah, I know. And Naniwa read that, and he's like, yeah, well, you're actually right, you might be the favorite here, but still, don't get overconfident, because if you do, I will beat you.
Yeah, never get overconfident against Naniwa. Top-notch player, by far the most successful foreigner in Korea.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy is, he really trains hard. He has shown serious promise.
The thing about Naniwa, if you never heard about his training routine, is he's like crazy. The Koreans are usually like... Everyone talks about how much Koreans practice, but if Naniwa prepares for a match, he goes through Koreans like nothing. They will refuse to practice with him. Just I'm serious. In the StarTale team, when he plays against the Terran, they refuse at some point because they say, we need a break, we can't play anymore. He grinds out games like more than 100 games a day sometimes when they go like really fast. He plays and plays and plays. But here we go, guys. The map is starting. Everything is settled. Koka is up against Yun. Slayers against Prime. Get the GSTL.
Down here, the 9 o'clock position from the Team Prime, formerly of ZenX. His ID is...
Beyond Prime!
Is this official, by the way? Did he drop the whole Ghost King thing?
Yes, he did.
Thank God.
And, his opponent, who is spawning at the 12 o'clock position as the Blue Zerg, is also formerly of the Team ZenX, now on the Team Slayers. His ID is...
Slayers! Koka!
Both taking separate paths, know each other well. There was a new puppy at the studio today, not related to Byeon, but Byeon did pet the puppy and was really nice to it. I don't know whose puppy it is, but it is very cute.
I don't like these handbag dogs.
I know your feel. I had big dogs growing up, and...
No. There are no big dogs. There are dogs and there are, rats in disguise.
Rats in disguise?
That's how I think about it, sorry. Everything that you can carry in a handbag is not a dog.
I see what you're saying. I prefer the dogs that are larger than the small dogs that you're describing. But, every now and then I like the small dog too. I pet the dog, he was very nice to me. I don't know what his name was. I don't know if it's male or female. He actually had a similar hairstyle to Koka. They both had really curly, poofy hair.
Wait a second, the dog has a hairstyle?
Yeah, the dog has a hairstyle. It was very clearly recently groomed. And I don't want to say it was permed, but it was definitely cleaned well. It may have even been permed in some way. It looked a little bit too curly, a bit too perfect. All right, it's like one of those toy poodles that you might see at a dog show.
There you have the win rate, by the way. Terran 10, Zerg 17. Yeah, that already says a lot.
Insane for Zergs on this map. We see Command Center first for Byeon, and normal pool timing coming out for Koka. He's not going to try to go double hatch before pool.
Something that we have seen a lot, especially against Prime players like Marine King. And it's a really funny thing because it happens... it's actually like people try to figure out how they can do a play against the different build orders, and it was so funny to see that he actually did it against Marine King. Symbol it was Symbol, wasn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
With all the games that we sometimes cast, it's hard to keep track of which exact game we're talking about. But yeah, a symbol against Marine King where he did it, and he didn't even scout because like, yeah, well, you're Marine King, of course you're opening with a command center.
We saw this yesterday, in fact, with Nestig opening with a fast pool against Supernova, who went for command center first on Daybreak, I believe it was, and he ended up winning the best of 3 just because of that. He pulled all of his drones and just killed him, because when Terrans are constantly going command center first and there's a trend like this, you can definitely abuse that, and I like that players do this. Koka playing a lot safer here, though. He's got his speed coming out very early, not going for one of those super fast queen builds. And on a map like this, it's kind of smart. The third base can be taken, but it's a lot more difficult until you kill those rocks to actually securely take that and hope that, with especially these new styles coming out, the Bomber has shown in particular with just fast, naked marine pressure, it's really scary with that third base there with the rocks in place.
As long as you have speed, you're really in a good spot against early marine pressure. With speed, the Zerglings close the distance to the Marines so fast, it's very hard to kite the Zerglings, so anything like it would definitely give Björn a huge problem. But Björn is going for the factory now, is going for the Reactor Hellion build, and at the same time we have additional queens being built by his opponent. So currently Koka with a build that involves a quick speed, involves gas, but at the same time he wants to rely to a bigger number of queens just to be on the safe side, to be able to block his ramp, which is kind of the most important part. Especially on this map, it's hard for a Zerg player to actually wall off at the front just in time, so you always have to make sure that there is a queen that could potentially block the ramp, and that's kind of what he does here, because those Hellions will at some point try to hit, and if you don't pull your drones back away right away, then you are in a... And you have a big problem at your hand. You might lose way too many workers.
You're right. There's so many different pressure builds coming out of Korea right now, and they're being used overseas as well on the foreign scene with Hellion marine pressure of all sorts of kinds. I mean, you've seen it with Blue Flame through the mid-game even. You've seen it with just very fast Hellion marine with a few Marauder pressures. There's all sorts of different builds coming out, like the naked marine pressure we talked about off the 3 barracks. Because the queens have changed, they do more damage because they can fire more quickly. Well, they're not firing more quickly, but because of their range, they don't have to run around. They actually can fight much better.
You can't kite them anymore.
You can't kite them, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you for saying it in the best way possible. So it's harder to attack with Hellions specifically alone than it used to be. So people are trying to figure out ways to pressure Zergs now. And I like that we're starting to see different strategies develop and older strategies come back.
The Hellions are just now having a quick poke, actually confirming that there is a third base. The Baneling Nest is already on its way, so he will be able to defend against a lot of pushes of his opponent quite easily. And this is a very cautious play by both of them. Koka is known for his creep spread, is one of these Zergs in Korea. There are maybe like, let's say 7-8 Zergs that really have a great creep spread in Korea. They're focusing on it so much, and it's so important in all these matchups. But you can already see how he's spreading his creep across the map and how he's really working at it to connect the 3 bases to be able to defend against, for example, incoming Banshee play or a drop play. And we have Flare already for the Zerg as well. So very smooth transition that he goes here.
Yeah, I really like Björn's build, by the way. He has added 2 reactors on his barracks that took a long time to power up. Let's supply block those, so you missed about 4 Marines that he could have had. He was heavily supply blocked. But he's going to hit with these first 2 medevacs most likely. His Hellion count is at 6, so we are going to see one of those Hellion Marine pushes right now. The Hellions are occupying the watchtower right now. The Marines are moving out, and if he wants to, he can rally all 5 Marines that he can make at a time with this push, or if he wants to, he can actually just send them at home. And he's sent his medevacs back, so it looks like he's going to go for a drop while he attacks another location. He's probably going to scan, kill creep, and drop the main base. This is a split push that we're going to see. Very scary. Right now, Björn does have the E-base, but he's not started researching. As soon as I say that, he starts, but his opponent, Koka, way ahead in upgrades.
Pushing out right now with 88 supply, and this is also very important that he forces back the creep a little bit, that he will not commit to this too much, but forcing the creep back is exactly what he should do. A very nice scan, revealing a lot of the tumors here. Well done, but this run-by is doing some damage, not only taking down the SCD, but also nearly forcing a cancel here.
Oh, the
Banelings moving in now, but nice split so far.
Yeah, nice targeting on those Banelings, and now there's only Zerglings left. The Hellions and Marines should be able to clean them up.
Very well played by Björn here, a great control. I was really worried for him. Fighting on creep against Banelings is so difficult, but he pulls it off, an amazing split, and he gets most of his Marines out of there. A lot of damage done. Very well played.
And the third base is still going to be attacked by these Lings. The Medivacs cannot get home in time. There's a small group of Marines here, but he will clean those up. And this Command Center very low on hit points, down to 660 due to that earlier attack. He's going to take all these Marines out, and he may force a lift.
Even though that Björn traded very well in the last engagement, he lost a lot of his army, and this left him open to this counterattack from Koka, and Koka is moving in now, trying to take down as many SCVs as possible. He did a great job so far already, and I have to say that both of them are playing a really nice game here.
Yeah. I'm sure these guys practice together quite a bit. I can see a little bit of stylistic choices that we see, like the Zerling run-bys when they were used, the attack that we just saw, how he did it. It was as if he knew exactly how many Banelings he was going to face before he split his Marines, the way he sent his Hellions in. It seems like they have played against each other quite a bit. Armory going up at a perfect timing here. He's going to be able to start 2-2. However, Koka's already got his 2-2 on the way. His +2 melee significantly ahead of the Carapace upgrade. Baneling speed is finishing up. Does not have a macro hatchery at any of his other bases besides his main. He's only got the one macro hatch. And if he doesn't take a fourth soon, okay, there it is. Fourth going down, I was going to say he's going to need to at least get another hatchery because he's getting to that point where he does not have the larva he needs with this Zerling heavy style that we're seeing. Oh, these Banelings are spotted. This is huge because now he knows exactly how to deal with this. He's going to actually force cancels. Oh, he's got to cancel some of these. If he's actually going to stay...
All of them. He has to cancel all of them. They were not close enough to be in Banelings. He picks up the two Hellions before that, though, and Koka is taking a bit of a lead here. I have to correct what the story about the two of them. It was actually about a code S spot. And back then, and Koka, it was back then when Koka was really dominating in the ZVT matchup.
That's right, okay.
He kind of left the game, it was not the other way.
Okay, my mistake. But
no, don't worry, that's fine. The main story is there was something going on between the two of them.
Oh, Baneling's coming in here. And he actually breaks the wall using Zerling, so a lot more Banelings left, but then he wastes them on tanks, and oh no, he traps a ton of Björn's Marines. Björn in trouble now. He has got no defense for his SVs at the natural.
He doesn't have the siege mode just yet. The siege mode is close to being finished, but oh no, he takes down every single SCV here. And without the siege mode, this is so hard to hold.
Yep.
This is exactly the attack that a lot of TSL Zergs do. When we have Symbol, for example, and especially Hyun, they love this style in the mid game with a ton of Banelings. And Terran players delaying their tanks so much, they get really punished for it.
Yeah, they certainly do. We've seen Lucira do it as well. Every SCV is starting to be taken out, and right now his worker count down to 30 versus 68 of his opponent, and he's not done with the attack. He's making more Banelings, 27 of them in fact. This is going to be so hard for Björn to hold, but he's trying to push through. The Banelings are almost done, but will he actually push through? It doesn't look like it. And here they go. Some hesitation from Koka, but he's got double the supply of his opponent.
Then here, where's the siege tank? That's one on the high ground. A great shot on these Banelings. If he gets another one, he does. He takes down a lot of them. Very, very well done. And so far, Björn holds, but he's so far down in supply. A fourth base is up for his opponent already. The hive tech has been started, and that is the beautiful thing about Koka. He drones up. He does not stick to this. He realizes, oh well, he has tanks now. It's so hard for me to actually make this happen, but I did so much damage. Let's just fall back. Let's just drone up, plate. Oh my god, look at it. God, I love this guy. He's building spore crawlers. He's building spine crawlers. He knows he is so far ahead. All that can happen right now is drop play, some kind of sneaky attack by his opponent. But if he plays it safe, if he builds spore crawlers, spine crawlers, and tags, and just goes for the transition, then he should be really in the best position ever to win this game.
Exactly. He knows that he's got that vulnerability with no mutas. He's gone infestors. His opponent knows this too, so he knows drop play is going to be what he's going to face now. He's got overlords well spread as well, and if any drops actually do a ton of damage to Koka, I mean, it's going to be because Björn is a god or because Koka just was asleep at the wheel because he's got everything set up to defend this.
I've seen so many Zerg players stick to this type of attack until they would eventually die because the Terran player already had siege tanks. And it can look really good. If you hit the timing, if you realize your opponent is delaying his siege tanks a little bit and you attack with this awesome amount of Lings and Banelings, you can do so much damage, but hold a second. Loses all of his Marines thanks to the fungal. But yeah, that's the problem. If the Terran has tanks already, as a Zerg you look really, really stupid.
Yeah,
because
you
will start to attack and you will lose everything without doing any damage at all. And this happened to Hyun quite often.
Yeah, we saw even once the tanks were ready, the tank on the high ground did so much damage to that small group of Banelings. I mean, that is exactly what you see.
So that sometimes happens to players like Hyun who are trying to figure out exactly how these timings work, and sometimes they look so dominant and so awesome because they hit the perfect timings. The siege tanks are not there. And yeah, the TSL Zergs are kind of known for this type of strategy, and Koka is using it here as well. And he's really executing it like brilliantly. Perfect timings and perfect transition.
Yeah, Björn is, I mean, he is struggling a little bit here, but what he's done so far, his transition is quite nice. He's actually been able to continue to spread this this army out into the middle of the map carefully, slowly, taking out some creep tumors as well. Forced to cancel on the base on the right side, and he still hasn't really fought his way back into this as he doesn't even have a third command, so he lost it in that engagement. So he is terribly behind, but he's trying to make work with what he has. I mean, he's got a Marine count right now of 42, 10 at a time being produced, but eventually he will mine out.
He plays very resourceful here, but the lack of a third base, that is definitely not working to his advantage. We have 4 bases for his opponent, and even getting a 5th now, so Koka is way ahead of his opponent. But Björn tries to do whatever he can to get into this game, trying to bait Koka into an engagement that Koka cannot win. But so far, the Slayers player has been too smart to fall for it.
Yeah, he's so careful. I love the use of infestors here. As soon as the tank siege up, he moves back, doesn't even eat a single shot, and he'll fungal again here, and he does. Trading some Zerglings and just takes out as many of those Marines as he can. He's ahead 60 supplies in a pullback, not losing a single infestor.
And he's waiting for his units. He's currently waiting for the Ultralist that will finally appear. And here we go. What a fuck!
Oh man, and the Ultralist closing distance on these siege tanks. Björn is going to lose his entire main army right now.
It was already bad as it was, but this fungal, it definitely broke Björn's backbone.
Yeah, it broke records practically, man, with how good it was. And we are going to see one more fungal on these Marines. If he hits it, he will clean them up. And even if he doesn't, he's going to clean them up. There's way too many units here. 4 Ultralists and a few Banelings. More Banelings rolling in now. And Björn, he has no defense. GG, good, says Björn. And it was indeed good.
Well done, Koka, with a great game here. And he ties the series up 1-1. I have to say that this was really a great play by Koka. He hit the perfect timing. The siege mode for the tanks was so close. It was seconds. He attacked seconds before it finished. And with the siege tank on the high ground, it would have been so much harder for him to actually do damage. But when the siege mode was finally completed, it was already too late. The damage was done. And Jan tried to recover, but he was not able to pull it off.
You know, the transitions were, to me, what was the best about this from both players. Björn being very cost-efficient afterwards, not taking very many risks. Seeing a few drops around, yeah, but he decided not to really commit to that too heavily. Forced to cancel one of the hatcheries and kept his army alive, but Koka, he didn't try to go for Broodlords. He didn't have a Spire. He just went for the Ultralists. Started out with just a few, making 2, then went up to 4, and then just kind of added a few in. But he kept his infestors alive. His control with the infestors was excellent, never losing a single one.
His decision-making was simply great. The one thing that impressed me about Björn, by the way, was especially his first attack. That was like really, really well done when he split. I did not like him to engage on creep, but when he was suddenly attacked with Banelings and Zerglings, he reacted so well.
Yeah, it was like as if he knew what was there before he even saw it.
He microed so well against these Banelings and took down most of them, and lost a few Helens, lost a few Marines, but took down a ton of Zerglings before he was actually able, well, forced back by Koka, and he used his Medivacs to pick up the remainder of these units. It was really well done. And this is also something that we talked a little bit about it. If you have your Medivacs out and you hit your normal timings, then you will be faster than the Zerg with his Mutalist, and he knew there was no Spire. So attacking and forcing the creep back works so well because you know your opponent doesn't have anti-air.
I knew when I saw the map Daybreak, I knew it was going to be Creator, and it is. It's Creator. Great map choice. I love this map for Protoss versus Zerg. Koka, famous for his Zerg versus Protoss in the past, his Infestor play, and even his Infestor play against Terran as well. And he's back, man. Creator's been around for a long time, and he's the choice for Prime, but it's not going to be an easy match.
It's definitely not going to be an easy match, but Creator, well, he has a nickname for a reason. A very creative Protoss player, very strong player as well. And this is going to be a good one. I love this team match. It's seriously, like, EG, Slayer, CG versus Prime, this is... I mean, if you hear the two names, you're already like, wow,
yeah,
this is going to be good.
Slayer's a champion of many previous GSTL seasons, and of course Prime is the champion from last season. And only one of these teams is going to advance. They're not both getting out. There's no way. This is already our losers match, so they are down to the wire. One team is losing today and will have to participate next season.
The average win rate.
Almost 2.0. That's why we saw him as the most valuable player listed on the team page earlier. It's because he wins, man. That's what he does. Creator, a very emotional player, very young, But this guy, if he does not choke, he will kill you. He shows very little weaknesses in his overall play, especially in the late game. This guy is some of the strongest late game I have ever seen. Really revolutionizing PvT with his Forge play. Not only with double upgrades, but also Forge fast expands against Terran. He's been doing those quite a bit recently as well.
Here they are, the two of them. Daybreak is going to be the map. It's map number 3.
Yeah, the score currently tied, these two teams. I'm so excited to see who's going to win this match. This is a really balanced map for this matchup. A lot of Zergs feel comfortable here, a lot of Process feel comfortable. I mean, the map choice is just a good one.
Yeah. It's definitely also a map that we've seen over and over again in this particular matchup, so I want to see what exactly Creator is going to do here. We talked a lot about that recently. Pros players try to take the third a little bit faster than they did before. They're not only relying on 2 base pushes, but they are still very strong, so we'll see what exactly is going on here now. As both of them are getting ready, the match is about to start, ladies and gentlemen. Coca versus Creator on Daybreak.